Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. Y'all, let me just say something really quickly. By the time you hear this message, which I know is going to post Monday morning, October 20th, Patreon, if you're a part of that community, I posted a message last night. And also Patreon, I will talk to you again on Tuesday, October 21st, because we have a new moon. The very first card I get in this reading is focus. The symbol on the card is of a bow and arrow. If I kind of run with that energy, I'm going to compare you, for the sake of this reading, to an archer. Imagine going to a doctor because something's wrong. Well, the doctor is going to give you a checkup, and then based on what the doctor recognizes or realizes about whatever that ailment is, you then get a prescription. Some of us in this reading, we have noticed that energetically, we have been scattered. And so this message says, listen, spiritually speaking, you are being asked to focus. Maybe you prayed about how to focus. Maybe you asked for clarity. Maybe you asked for discipline. You asked for something. And there is a prescription in this reading for those that already align or identify with what I've said so far. Spiritually, if your prescription says we just need you to focus in order to fix something, you are being asked to move closer to a specific target. Now, the target for all of us is going to be different, but this is saying that energetically, you may be putting yourself in a lot of places, but there's one specific place where if you put your energy, it is going to change the nature of the entire environment that makes up your life. So there's something about homing in on your desires. Now, when you have the ability to focus, when you can successfully hit a target, it means that you can direct with clarity your own intentions. I know the intention to set. I know the action that I must take. When you are focused, you also have the ability to watch your thoughts. You're more conscious of the mental chatter. You don't spend a lot of time with the wrong thoughts or the wrong speech patterns because you understand that there is one target I'm going after. So your prescription says, in order to draw into your life whatever it is you most desire, you are going to need clarity, and you're also going to need a direction. Now, when you have clarity, you know how to direct your thoughts. When you have clarity, you know how to direct your speech. Y'all, this entire reading is about the element of air. And if the universe is mental, if you have the ability to focus on a target, this means that you can essentially control your entire life with what you say and what you think. So the next thing is that if you are the archer, what is it that you have to carry with you? Well, the bow and the arrow. Typically, when we're thinking about the bow and arrow, we recognize it to be a weapon for hunting, but it's also a weapon for protection. The better you are as an archer, the better you are at handling your bow and arrow, that means the greater hunter you will be. It also means the greater ability that you have to be able to protect yourself, because you not only know how to hit the target, but you also understand the target that is trying to hit or aim itself at you. Now, the next part of the reading says, listen, in order for you to stay focused, you got to be disciplined, because sometimes things are going to want to distract you. So if you are going to be an archer that has a high level of skill, you got to make sure that whatever your target is, it is actually what you want to attract. Y'all, for some of us, we are in the season of attraction. This means whatever you hit, you are going to get. Now, this card specifically says that you are calling in your soul ally. Before you let that arrow go, before you decide on a person, before you connect to a friend, or you say that this is the lover, this is the spouse for me, this is the soul that I want to be in alliance with, Spirit is asking you to focus clearly on the type of personality that you want in your life. Who is it that I want to attract? And so you got to set a fresh intention, but you need clear energy. And so to think about the kind of people that you want to have around with you in the present day, this means that, listen, these are the type of people that you are going to meet in the future. Now, the next two cards I get, one says ASMR, The other is the Hanged Man. This is the card of sacrifice. This is a card of surrender and submission. When you are in the process of attracting people, sometimes people are attracted, or we are attracted to someone because maybe we share values, maybe we share beliefs, maybe there's like this, no matter what the person looks like, there is something inside you that almost recognizes something inside of them that you can't always put words to, right? And this goes beyond the physical appearance. But this is about, maybe I'm just attracted to their character. Maybe I'm attracted to how they think. Or maybe I just love the way they love. I love their faith. I love their personal sense of purpose. I love the fact that they know who they are. And so when you are calling in your soul allies, focus. Do not let that arrow go unless they are speaking to you. When I say they, unless that soul, that person is speaking to you at a level of purity. Now, here's the thing. We done shot a lot of arrows in our life. And not every target that we hit is somebody that we actually wanted to be with for eternity. Now, for a moment in time, you're thinking, oh, this is a great friend. This is a great lover. This is a great spouse. This is a great job. This is a great place. Sometimes we let the arrow go, only later to recognize, I should have held back. I actually shot the arrow. I actually targeted something that I would one day need to protect myself from. So here's the thing. Spirit says, listen, we want you to focus your energy because you're in the season of being able to literally get whatever it is you desire. But we need you to be clear about what it is you desire. Now, what is one of the most challenging things for an archer? I Googled this, okay? Now, hold on. Before I tell you that, I get ASMR. Literally, the card says ASMR, tingles and comfort. ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. This talks about a physical sensation. When you get this physical sensation, it takes you to a state of deep relaxation. It also connects you to mindfulness. When we are mindful, it means that we are existing in the present moment. Now, when you are in the present moment, it is in that exact period of time that you have the ability to connect with a higher power through your own consciousness. ASMR is also a tool for emotional regulation. So y'all, if spiritually you have felt energetically scattered, if you have felt like I can't focus, I can't hit my target, I'm shooting my bow, I'm shooting my arrow, but I'm off course, it's landing somewhere, it's not hitting what I want, I literally believe that a spiritual doctor or something, a divine message says, listen, we want you to almost reset your energetic frequency. Before you shoot that arrow, you need to get to a space of mindfulness. You need to calm your emotional body. You need to experience relaxation first. You don't want to let the arrow go when you're feeling tense and tight. So then my next question was, okay, Spirit, well, what makes a really good archer? Now, a good archer is a combination of physical strength, stability, keen focus, and deep understanding. Your ability to conquer and to hold all of those characteristic traits at the same time means that you are a very good archer, and every single time you let that bow go, it's going to hit the exact spot that you needed it to. Meaning, I'm taking a risk, I'm going for a relationship, I'm going for a job, I'm starting something new, I'm making a purchase, and whatever it is I have decided on, it is going to return itself to me. Like it will bring me more gains than losses because of the intention that I set when I decided that this is the thing I'm going to target. Now, a good archer is also mindful of their equipment. Y'all, every bow ain't the same. Sometimes the bow that you are using to attack a target, sometimes it's light. And if it's light, it's more likely to be moved by the wind. If it's heavy, it means that, listen, maybe it may drop before it gets to the space that you need it to hit. So understanding the environment, understanding the element of wind tells you what type of bow I need and how I need to line this thing up. Physical fitness, when we're talking about a good archer and we're saying that they got to be physically fit, we're talking about having a strong back and a strong body. So here's the thing. One of the most challenging things for an archer is the wind. Okay. Now, physically, what affects an archer, what affects the arrow at the same time is the wind. Sometimes you got to compensate for the arrow's drift. Although I shot the arrow this way, it has a tendency to lean left or to lean right, depending on the environment that I'm shooting in. And so Spirit says that, listen, sometimes there are unpredictable conditions that disrupt your form as an archer, that don't allow you to hit the target that you really want to hit because of your posture, because of your form. Sometimes there's an archer that's got to learn how to adjust their aim. I got to fix my timing. Why? Because I need to account for the wind's force. Now, in tarot, in life, when we're talking about the elements that dominate earth, the wind is the element of air. So in your own life as an archer, when you have been trying to hit targets, the element of air is going to be truth and communication. That chakra specifically has impacted your physical strength. It has impacted your body. How does the wind affect an archer? It affects your stability, it disrupts your form, and it forces your timing, meaning it forces you to let it go. But it's not the time that you should have let it go. But when you were reading the winds, it's like you did it too soon or you did it too slow. Now, I wanted to know a little more. What is the spiritual meaning of the back and the shoulders? If you are being described as an archer, and if you got to be physically fit specifically in your back or in your shoulders, spiritually, your back and your shoulders are associated with your ability to carry burdens, to carry responsibilities and life experiences. Your shoulders symbolize how we handle emotional and spiritual weight, often relating to those times when we start to feel overwhelmed or we feel like we are literally carrying the weight of the world. If you identify with that feeling, that means that your posture and your form, when you are trying to hit a target or attract or call in a desire, the way your shoulders sit, the way your shoulders physically speak and communicate to you, talks about how you have been able to carry wind or combat the energy of wind over time. Now, your back is literally where your life experiences are stored. We're talking about trauma, grief, or any type of blockage in your ability to self-express or to take action. Your shoulders are a physical representation of how you bear responsibility, both personally and for others. Your emotional burden, we're talking about tension and pain. If you carry tension and pain in your shoulders, this can indicate that you're carrying emotional burdens, unexpressed grief, or just feeling overwhelmed. Your shoulders also connect to communication because they are linked to your throat chakra. So now we're talking about your self-expression. Pain in our shoulders can mean that we're holding back our true self or our feelings. You know the term frozen shoulders? This talks about maybe there's some type of emotional coldness or some type of detachment. Lastly, or second, your shoulders also connect to your ability to act, right? And so when you can take action in the world, when you can embrace others, when you initiate connections, this is a reflection of your ability to kind of get out of the blocks, right? When you restrict yourself from taking action and connecting, this can lead to tension in your shoulders. Then we got hunched shoulders. This indicates a desire to protect ourselves, or maybe we are feeling vulnerable in our own heart, or we may carry a tendency to feel overwhelmed and afraid. And so I want you to think about the condition of your shoulders and then your back. And I want you to think about if they're speaking to you. The way they speak to you talks about the type of posture that you may be carrying when it's time to hit a target, to call in a desire, or to attract something or someone or a place into your life. that you most want to experience? Let's talk about your back. We said that our back is really the storage unit for our life's experience. Our back is also our support and our stability. If we have pain in our upper back, this can be linked to trying to protect our heart space. If you have pain in your lower back, this can talk about financial or emotional support issues. Any pain in your mid back area, that can represent a weak link or a blind spot where we are carrying feelings of worry. Worry specifically connects to your spleen. If you are carrying anger, that specifically connects to your liver. Worry and anger is sabotaging your path. So when you stand up there to hit a target or to focus or to be consistent, to be diligent, and something is sabotaging your path, it's the constant worry or it's the carrying of the anger. So your mid back is communicating like, yo, you worrying about something you don't need to be worrying about, or you mad about something you don't need to be mad about. So get rid of it in order to release the pain so that you can really take this thing and be in the upright when you go after this target, this person, this place or thing. Your back also connects to stored trauma. Any emotion like stress, unexpressed grief, all of that can be stored as tension in the upper back, the neck, and the shoulders. So in order to be the greatest archer in your own life, and when I say you're the greatest archer, I mean that you can attract, you can call in what you want, and it's only because you got your energy in alignment enough to hit the target. Now, we already talked about the element of wind, right? So here's the thing, as a good archer, you got to master your technique. You got to practice consistently, because guess what? The wind ain't the same every day. And so when there's no wind, how do you hit a target? When the wind gusts are strong, and they're inconsistent. Sometimes it's strong and then it's quiet. Like, how do you shoot? How do you hit? Now, the next card I get is, listen, before you let that target go, to attract, specifically for some of you that are trying to call in soul allies, the same thing that ASMR does to the human body, that is the same place that you got to live in inside of yourself before you let your arrow go, right? So to be under the influence of ASMR, what does that feel like? We're talking about a feeling that is pleasant, a tingly feeling that starts at the top of your head. It moves down your spine, not like goosebumps, but it's almost like a soothing brain massage. Spiritually, if you were to get a prescription, I feel like your spiritual team is like, yo, we want you to start practicing ASMR. Before you let the arrow go, before you start to target or go after your desires, we need you to exist in a space of mindfulness. We need your brain to be relaxed. That is what is going to help you unscatter your energy. That is what is going to give you clarity. But you got to use it consistently, because the wind that blows, and we're going to talk about the wind, right? Because the wind that blows, it don't blow the same every day. So you have to be disciplined in your ability to exist in whatever state ASMR promises or guarantees you right now. Next thing, ASMR has the ability to make us feel relaxed and happy, sometimes even sleepy. Now, what triggers our body to move into a state where ASMR is effective? What does that? Sometimes it's going to be a sound like whispering, tapping, or crinkling objects. Sometimes it's something visual, like watching something gentle or repetitive, some type of repetitive movement. Also, there's a type of ASMR that is linked to personal attention. So this is almost like mimicking personal attention. Maybe there's some type of role play. There is a version of role play that is considered ASMR. And this means like when somebody's gently brushing your hair, when somebody's rubbing your back, rubbing your cheek, stroking your face. All of those mimic some type of personal care, but the point is to take you to a state of relaxation. Lastly, role play. You be the doctor, I be the patient. Literally setting up experiences where you can demonstrate the act of being cared for in the physical world, because you understand that if I role play this event, it is going to calm and soothe me mentally, physically, and emotionally. So the way ASMR works for all of us is a little different, but you have received a prescription. Don't let that arrow go unless you have relaxed your body, mind, and soul. Now, the next card I get is the Hanged Man. When the Hanged Man comes up, typically we understand that this is a pause. This is a moment where nothing's moving. Now, sometimes we call this the sacrifice card because a lot of things are being let go because you're literally hanging upside down. Imagine you having a pocket or a purse full of items, and then somebody turns you upside down. All of those things are going to hit the ground. Spiritually speaking, you are being asked to put yourself in a state of ASMR. Why? Because you will turn yourself up down. When you turn yourself upside down, this is about detaching from the things that your ego loves, right? Before you make this decision, make sure you're not making it from an egoic stance. Okay? ASMR activates an entirely different part of yourself where you can look at the same situation in an entirely different way, because every attachment that you had to an ego or whatever the target is, if this is an ego type of target, Spirit wants you to turn yourself upside down in order to recognize that. When the Hangman comes out, this talks about surrender, sacrifice, literally releasing all attachments to your ego. Not because you're bound by some type of punishment, but this is like, we need to sit you down. You got to think about this thing a little differently. Spirit is saying that when you implement or practice or develop or create moments that soothe your mind and get you to the present moment, it may look like stillness. It may look like pause, whether you initiate it or the Most High puts you in a pause where you feel like you're losing everything. It's because you're just getting closer to the target. That means some things we're carrying, people, places, and things we carry because our ego wants us to carry them. But none of them are conducive to our divine journey. So when you're losing things and you feel like you're turned upside down, it's really an opportunity to suspend yourself between worlds. That's all. So either you choose to be in a sacrifice position or the Most High puts you in that position. And it's because your consciousness needs to be free to fly wherever it will. And sometimes our ego doesn't allow our consciousness to go where it needs to go, to reveal what it needs to reveal. And so this is actually a moment of divine ecstasy. ASMR creates a moment of divine ecstasy where your mystical self has the ability to transcend. It means that you can exist in a mystical state. It is only in that state as an archer where you can let that arrow go and hit and target your desires. The next thing I want to say, y'all, is the final card I get in this reading. Now we're really going to go on the element of air. I want you to think about in the past when you have been trying to attract people, places, things, or experiences. Y'all, there's a lot of times where we hit targets or we bind or contract ourselves to things that we really don't want nothing to do with after a period of time. I have a card here. It says misleading information. Now we talked about the element of air, representing truth, clarity, knowledge, wisdom. Misleading information is essentially somebody giving you some type of false air. So here's the thing. Imagine you're an archer. You're about to hit a target. And then all of a sudden the wind starts to blow. But when we're talking about misleading information, this means that when the wind blows, it's blowing with illusions. It's blowing with falsity, untruths, nonsense, twisted truth, a half lie, a bold-faced lie, a white lie, exaggeration, fabrication, deception, fake news, and misinformation. There are some times where we hit a target because we were misled, because something was exaggerated, because we had a partial lie, right? Or somebody twisted the truth, somebody deceives us, and we let our target go and we hit something that's really not for us. Y'all, don't beat yourself up for targeting or thinking that something was going to be promising and it turns out that it wasn't. That was just a version of wind that you needed to know how to shoot in. And so, y'all, this reading says that you have had to battle people, places, and things that have misled you. And divinely speaking, that was intentionally allowed because it perfected your performance as an archer. Here you got a target, but all of a sudden somebody starts speaking in your ear, and all they want you to do is move left. Now they're using the element of wind because that is what an archer has to be able to battle. You got to cut through that wind in order to get that target where you need it to be. But then if you got a liar in your ear or people that are deceiving, think about every time you hit a target that looked like something, but it turned out it wasn't really that. You just needed to know how to let the arrow go. That taught you, oh, I need a heavier bow or I need a lighter bow. Like, do you understand? Those were the situations that are growing you as the archer that you were. So to beat yourself up for hitting false targets is to not really respect the fact that all of this is development of your own skill, technique, strength, and ability. Y'all, I hope that this reading came through. And the most important thing is the prescription wants you to implement the use of ASMR on a consistent basis because that immediately allows you to turn yourself up down. You know, listen, when people are speaking bullshit in your ear and they're trying to mislead you with a lie or whatever, the point of that is to keep you egoically attached to something. And as long as your ego is attached to something and the divine consciousness in you is not able to shine through, you will continue to hit false targets, people, places, things, jobs, habits, and behaviors. But ASMR literally changes your frequency and allows you to make a choice and find clarity, meaning even if there's a liar in front of you, if you can exist in a state where your ego is not in charge, you'll be able to find it. Just turn yourself up down, honestly assess the situation, relax, emotionally calm and soothe yourself, and you will see a lie. You'll see an untruth. You'll see and recognize nonsense. You'll see when somebody's fabricating something. Your ego doesn't always allow you to. But if you turn yourself into a divine state and if you surrender, if you just say, you know what, if this is a situation that's in front of me, I'm going to just deal with it, right? This allows your ego to kind of like release itself. And the divinity in you is going to consciously reveal whatever it is you need to see and know. ASMR can take you to that state of surrender, because it allows you to feel yourself in a different capacity so that you can judge a situation from a different height, from a different level. All right, y'all. So if you prayed or asked about focusing in targets and trying to attract specifically those that are trying to attract a soul ally, what type of personality do I want? Right? My ego is going to want somebody that works at this place, drives this, has this car, right? But what does my soul really want? Like, what are the character traits that I just fall in love with, no matter how much money you got, right? And so this is saying that your target is always going to be defined on a soul level. And in order for your soul to be okay with whatever it is you're targeting, you need truth. You need clarity. You need discipline and stability. So pay attention to your back. Pay attention to your shoulders. If you have pain or stress, this means that all of those liars, all of that misleading relationship is, like the information that misled you in your relationships and your life experiences, it may still be weighing on your back and your shoulders, and it's physically communicating itself to you. And so there's something about releasing the tension, releasing the pain, but it is through your thoughts and your speech. There is a way to affirm that I will never go through this experience again without carrying the guilt and the shame that you went through the experience in the first place. It was all developing you as the archer that you are, right? So some of y'all are really about to be calling in the new. We're almost done with 2025. And now this is the moment where you set yourself up, right? This is like you're trying to, you know how like we talk about a two-man game in basketball? You've got the one who's the point guard. You've got the two who's the shooting guard. And so right now you are asked to take on the position as the point guard, to give yourself the best assist you can give so that when 2026 gets here, whatever shot you take into the new, it is a shot that you are going to hit and make every single time. And if you have to turn yourself upside down, if you have to make a decision, make it from a place of calmness and relaxation. Don't allow your ego to bind you to contracts that really don't reflect the growth of your own soul. All right, y'all. I love you so much. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.